In this video, I'm going to share with you guys 20 anecdotes or personal convictions that have contributed to a notable transformation in my life, physically and mentally this past year. Listen, I love doing what I do here on this channel, which is, I imagine, why you legends continue to show up. Cracking jokes about idiots, marveling at the 15 IQ entitled brats on body cam. I think it's therapeutic and fun to laugh at societal idiocracy, but I've felt a strong pull lately to put out something less bleak and more actionable and uplifting heading into what will most likely be a tumultuous election year in the United States. I'm certainly not a guru. In fact, I cringe just a little bit when I say that word. I'm just someone who works tirelessly to find the balance between my propensity for degeneracy and my desire to live a life I can look back on and be proud of. So let's jump in. Intentional abstinence. And I don't mean wearing a chastity belt. Not everything is sexual, you perverted fuck. What I mean is pick one thing that you love to do that may seem innocuous, but you know deep down is detrimental to your future self. Eliminate it for 1 month and keep track of how you feel. And that thing is different for everybody. I bet you it actually already popped into your head. Your subconscious is a real son of a bitch. But this is just an exercise, right? You can get right back to it if you desire, but if you know deep down that that thing's holding you back in some way and you can't cease to do it for 30 measly days, that's called an addiction and may need to be addressed. I typically do this every year with alcohol. That's a common one. Dry January is probably something you've heard of. I've done this as well the last 2 years with video games because boy, do I love a good League of Legends session. But when I let it go unchecked, video games tend to have a vice grip on my productivity. 30 days, document it, see how you feel, then you decide how you want to move forward. It doesn't mean you have to give up that thing, but you learn a lot in the process. Confidence comes from doing what you say you will. There's no better feeling than following through with a promise to yourself. If you're constantly saying one thing and doing another thing, this creates turmoil in your subconscious because you can't even trust yourself and it makes you feel powerless. Everybody struggles with this, but you gotta start small, right? You can't just be like, I'm gonna be rich, bitch, and expect to wake up on a golf course smoking cigars with Warren Buffett while he's drooling into his Coca-Cola. Instead, you commit to spending 30 minutes a day for 3 months, learning everything you can about e-commerce. Follow through with that and you probably won't be rich, but you'll be a hell of a lot closer and you'll have gained confidence because you followed through on something you know is helping you inch closer to your goal. I want to be fit! Okay, commit to spending 3 hours a week moving your body and eat 150 grams of protein every day for 3 months. Do you look like Chris Helmsworth? Probably not, but you look and feel better than you did 3 months ago, and more importantly, you did what you said you were gonna do, which inspires confidence in yourself, which you carry with you to your next endeavor. And this continues to snowball. Those are off the cuff examples, obviously, but the point is, life is a game of compounding small wins over long time horizons, which takes patience. I'm gonna be honest with you, you're on your own here. Being patient blows. But sometimes it is the only missing ingredient to why you aren't seeing the progress you want, especially when you spend 5 hours a day on your phone comparing yourself to billions of other people. Enacting meaningful changes takes time, and we can't fast forward. This isn't Click with Adam Sandler. So find a way to distract yourself in the interim and try to stop comparing yourself to 18-pack Tony that drives a Bugatti and moisturizes his perfect skin with supermodel squirt juices. Say yes if it makes you uncomfortable. I don't mean when your friend's uncle is rubbing your thigh and asks if you want to check out his Funko Pop collection upstairs. That you should definitely say no to. What I mean is that in my experience, opportunities often come disguised as things that will make me uncomfortable. A change in routine, being around new people, fear of the unknown, right? In the back of your mind, you know it could be good, but you're still coming up with all the excuses of why you shouldn't do it. Just fucking do it. I've never regretted stepping out of my comfort zone once. Prioritize physical health for the sake of your mental health. I don't care how much therapy or healing oils or chemical cocktails you're using to try and get your mind right. If you aren't putting the same amount of effort into doing physically challenging activities, your approach needs reform. It goes without saying that I'm speaking generally, and there's obviously individual cases that require special attention, but the point remains, out of all the things I'm talking about today, this is probably the easiest and most obvious way you can upgrade your quality of life. Yet, over 60% of US adults do not engage in even regular physical activity. This is probably a hot take somehow in today's social climate, but speaking anecdotally and through experience with former clients and past relationships, I feel very strongly about this. If you're going through it, this should be the base camp for your climb up the jagged cliffs of Anxiety Mountain. And I'm not talking about being a fitness model or getting jacked. although building muscle is pretty awesome. I'm speaking strictly from a mental health perspective. There is an inextricable link between regularly doing physically challenging activities and your ability to handle life's stresses. This could be anything from recreational sports, hiking, skating, skiing, or the obvious ones like running and lifting, or the most underrated activity of all time, walking. If you were to start from zero right now, 2.5 hours a week could change your life. That's 30 minutes of walking 5 times a week. That's basically the exact length of Christopher Nolan's 2008 box office hit, The Dark Knight. Would you watch The Dark Knight once a week if you knew it could drastically improve your life? Of course you fucking would. That's approximately 20,000 extra steps per week, compounded over a year's time. Now we're fucking cooking with gas, baby, let's go! But starting something new totally blows. I get it, which brings me to my next point. The ability to delay gratification. Practically everything in our culture is designed to gratify us immediately, because when we get that feeling, that little drip of dopamine, it makes us continue the action that gave us that feeling, i.e. scrolling TikTok, video games, porn, drugs, arguing with strangers on Reddit, streaming content, cell phone notifications, checking emails. The list is virtually endless. When's the last time you did this? Without any real intention behind doing it? Probably within the last 15 minutes, and that's being generous. We are being conditioned in real time by technology and trillion-dollar industries that monetize our attention to rely on this constant feedback loop. Yeah, Leon, we get it. Social media is bad. You're such a hypocrite. You do social media. Listen, I get it. I leverage it as a tool in my own life. I also am a victim of it skull fucking my brain like 50 million hours a week, right? But being self-aware of it happening is the first step to not letting it take over your life. And it's not all bad. The punchline is this though, practically nothing of value gets done or created without purposeful time being spent on actions that provide no immediate gratification. That is why it is becoming increasingly difficult to focus, because we are being conditioned by immediate payoffs in everything that we do. This is just something to chew on, honestly, but if you have the self-awareness and discipline to do things that suck in the short term, because you know it might pay dividends in the future, you're already like miles ahead of the average citizen these days. Outside accountability. Now, I imagine most people can relate to the idea of letting yourself down. In fact, I'm a professional at it sometimes. We all make promises to ourselves only to watch the days go by as our behavior remains unchanged. And once you let yourself down enough, you kind of just get used to it, which is not ideal. What I despise though is letting other people down. That's why having someone to be accountable to has such a positive effect on success rates. The internet says your chance of reaching your goals climbs to 95% when you have a specific accountability partner, up from 60% if you just tell someone you're gonna do it. Now, I don't know where the hell these numbers get pulled from, but anecdotally, I can tell you it matters a lot. That said, the sponsor of today's video, Copilot, have been instrumental in my fitness wins this year for that exact reason. I've talked about them before. I've been using them since April, and my relationship with my coach Nate has really helped keep me on track when I've felt like bailing in the past. In fact, let me give you a little insight into my routine. I hope they don't mind if I go off script a little bit here. So I recently just moved my tiny little gym next to my office area above my garage. So I just come in here, I pop open the Copilot app and, pull up my workout. I'm actually about to do this one for real right now. I prop it up over here, get that baby going, turn the music on, kick the slippers off, slap myself in the face to get amped up, and then it's off to the races. Now, Nate knows all this, and he crafts killer workouts for me, taking all of that into account. So I just come in this gym, open the phone, and those babies are ready to go. Whether you work out at home or a public gym, your coach will craft your workouts based on your resources and your time constraints. It's fitness made easy. Now, in the entirety of this video, I'm sharing a lot of anecdotal experiences that have gotten me closer to my goals. Fitness is obviously a huge part of that for me. And that's why Copilot is a dope sponsor, because it's truly become part of my routine. I haven't missed a workout since April that wasn't a planned break, even while traveling. And look, I don't know where you're at. This could be foreign to you, or maybe you're a gym rat like I was once. All I know is that Copilot has benefited my life this year, and I'm confident it could benefit yours if you're ready to make that move but don't know where to start. If you want, that start could be clicking my Copilot link in the description to get a 14-day free trial and 20% off your first month of personalized fitness if you sign up by February 1st. I appreciate you, and thanks for listening. Personal accountability. My belief is that no matter what happens to you in your life, pointing fingers and finding people and things to blame provides no material benefit and can easily spiral into a state of perpetual victimhood. And that is a dangerous and fruitless place to wind up. I see this shit all the time on the internet, a never-ending stream of people mad and blaming someone or something they feel is responsible for their own misfortune. Okay, cool. So the government sucks and someone took advantage of your kindness. What are you gonna do about it? You gonna cry all day on social media and make a lucrative career out of it? Unfortunately, that is an option. Hassan Piker has made a lot of money doing so. But the reality is, no politician or guru or Tony Robbins clone gives a singular shit about you, and no one is gonna come save you. And when you truly accept that and take full responsibility for every outcome in your life, you can start firing on all cylinders. When you get stuck ruminating on everything that is out of your control and convince yourself the world is out to get you, that's when you're powerless. When you take the wheel by owning your circumstance and stop wasting cognitive bandwidth, pointing fingers everywhere, that's where the real power is found. Shorten your eating window. We're back to a few fitness-related ones that have crushed for me this year. I told you there's no rhyme or reason to this, but if the idea of tracking calories makes you want to off yourself, believe me, I get it. Maybe try reducing your eating window, and chances are you'll eat less calories in a day even if you aren't weighing your food, so to speak. 16-8 intermittent fasting is a popular way to do this and something I do pretty regularly. I wake up, black coffee and some electrolyte water here in my Stanley, come to the office and then get to work for a few hours. My first meal is around noontime, heavy protein. Then I splurge on dinner, whatever that might be. My wife might be cooking or we'll go out. And I don't feel like I'm on a diet because most of my caloric budget can be used here. And I fucking love dinner. Since I'm not going crazy at other times of the day, it gives me some leeway. Then I have another smaller protein-rich meal or shake with some other stuff around 8 p.m. to end the day. So my eating window is between roughly noon to 8 p.m. This window can shift based on your lifestyle, but it's something that has been instrumental in my ability to maintain a healthier weight without feeling like I'm on a diet. Oh, but Leon, I'm so hungry in the morning. I have to have my bowl of Cinnamon Toast Crunch or I'll die. What are you, 4? If you can't endure mild discomforts for the greater benefit of your existence on Earth, it's gonna be a long-ass road for you. Listen, there's 400 ways to slice an apple, and nutrition can be wildly complex. I'm just sharing what's worked for me, and I think it's the lack of complexity that has been the linchpin. For context, that joke about hunger directly implicates my wife, who would skip breakfast over her dead body, but she also lost over 60 pounds and found a routine that works for her. So take that as you will. What gets measured gets managed. Weigh yourself daily. Whatever your goals are, it's difficult to ignore something when you are keeping track of it. The saying goes, what gets measured gets managed. So get in the habit of measuring things you want to manage, and that awareness will pay off in spades over time. Track your calories. Now, I know I previously mentioned how tracking calories can be a drag, and it can be. I get it, but if you're in a situation like I was where I felt like I was doing everything right and just couldn't make progress, it can be a great learning tool. There are tons of apps with free and professional features that make it pretty frictionless, and the self-awareness you gain by doing this is something you can carry with you when you eventually want to start eating intuitively again. Whenever I start slipping, I'll fire it back up to re-gauge where I'm at, and it seems to get easier every time. MyFitnessPal is one you've probably heard of. I use an app called Macro Factor that has worked well for me. I have no affiliation with them at all. I'm just being honest. Tracking tends to breed self-awareness, which in turn breeds more informed decision-making, which can become intuitive and feel effortless after a period of time. It's worth a shot. Experiment with supplementation. The fact is, the supplement industry is worth billions of dollars and is filled with snakes and profiteers looking to take advantage of your insecurities and help you part with your money in the process. That said, I believe informed supplementation can play a pivotal role in achieving high performance, starting at the most basic level with vitamins. It doesn't have to be super complicated. It can, however, take a lot of time, research, and trial and error to tailor it to your needs, but some studies suggest over 90% of Americans are vitamin deficient. And I'm not a fan of catch-all multivitamins. I think you end up getting shit you don't need and not enough of some things you do. And yes, I think we should get as much as we can from whole foods, but without going down the big pharma, big food rabbit hole, it's not hard to believe that the standard American diet isn't providing the nourishment it once was. Chemicals, fillers, mass production, food homogeneity. You get the idea. It is not cheap to eat foods from reliable sources. Just for shits and transparency, here is a list of my current supplement regimen I've built out over the last year. This is subject to change. I'll likely add and take away as I continue learning and experimenting. It's a little bit over the top right now, but as someone who has traditionally suffered from seasonal affective disorder and bouts of rampant mood irregularities, I have been more even-keeled than ever this year, and I believe supplementation plays at least a small role in that. If you are totally new to this, and I had to suggest a starting point, I would probably look into vitamin D, K, magnesium, and creatine, just off the cuff here, strictly from an efficacy and cost basis. I'll link some pertinent research in the description. This is also advice, not medical advice, from a bona fide gym bro that just likes reading a lot of scientific articles, so grain of salt and all that. Get some sleep, you dumbass. I don't know how else to say this, but sleep is probably the easiest thing to understand as far as its implications on your health and well-being, yet it continues to be the most disrespected and abused. I say this as a former sleep disrespecter, but I'm on the grind. I'll sleep when I'm dead. You only live once. These beers are gonna drink themselves, pussy. Listen, I understand. I like to have fun. Inevitably, there will be times, whether through necessity or recreation, that sleep gets fucked off, but it better be a good fucking reason. And sitting in bed doom scrolling through endless dog shit on your phone is not one of those reasons. Out of all the things in this video, getting consistent nights of quality sleep by creating a bedtime routine and going to bed at a reasonable hour has probably had the biggest impact on my life, and it didn't cost me a dime. I'm talking anxiety, depression, focus. Sleep combined with diet and exercise completely changed my life. Now, everyone's routine is different. Obviously, occupations are different. Currently, my routine is magnesium glycinate and L-theanine an hour before bed, and I try, although I often fail, to shut off screens and just listen to a podcast or like some music or something, 30 minutes leading up to bed, which helps me drift off quite nicely. Additionally, don't be a mouth breather. Now, I tape my mouth shut while I sleep to force myself to breathe through my nose. I know this sounds ridiculous because it kind of is. My wife certainly makes fun of me for it, and it took a little getting used to, but being a mouth breather has a myriad of negative effects compared to being a peaceful nose breather. Deeper sleep, better oxygenation of the blood. I'll link a little research in the description if you're curious, but this is one of the things that has helped me sleep better. Also, I don't snore anymore, which my wife is over the moon about. That probably has more to do with controlling my weight, but taping the mouth definitely helps. Focus is the new time. I just don't have enough time. We've all said it, and while it is an excuse, sometimes it's a valid one. The reality is everyone has the same 24 hours in a day, which is cliche, I know. The differentiating factor, however, between average and above average people is the ability to leverage focus in order to maximize blocks of time. Now more than ever, being able to focus and do deep work on a singular task is a fucking superpower. Almost everything in our daily environment is engineered to steer our attention away from... Hold on a second, I got a notification. To steer our attention away from doing the thing that we want to be doing, which is exactly what we don't want when we're trying to accomplish anything that takes a reasonable amount of effort. This is one of the areas I struggle with the most. Even sitting down to brainstorm and write for this video felt like a monumental task because I'm so susceptible to the relentless dopamine feedback loop that's been created the last 2 decades. But I refuse to let it win. It usually wins. Spitballing here, but I believe that anybody, no matter their circumstance, could substantially change the direction of their life if they have the discipline to do 1 hour of focused work 5 times a week for 1 year. That's 260 hours a year. You can learn and do a lot of shit in 260 hours. You'll have to sacrifice some parts of your routine that you're used to, of course, but sacrifice is generally a close friend of progress. So how do I focus then, Leon? What's the secret? Truly, I have no clue. The battle is going to be different for everyone. But here's some of the things that I've done. Nuke your notifications. Unless they are the highest echelon of importance, nuke every last notification you can get your little mitts on. Phones, PCs, desktop computers, laptops, emails, turn all of those notifications off and never look back. That's right, I'm telling you to turn off your YouTube notifications because I don't want you watching my YouTube videos when you're supposed to be doing something important for yourself. I kinda do, but imagine you're in the middle of doing something impactful and your phone pings with the latest bullshit MSM headline about how the world is ending and everyone is killing each other. What possible benefit could that have to your life? Fucking zero. Shut that shit off. Take care of your physical and mental health. Probably no surprise here, but it's going to be very difficult to focus on hard things if you're a rundown wreck of a human being. Fortunately, we've already been talking about the importance of physical health and adequate rest and how it directly correlates to quality of life, so we don't need to cover that again. All of these things are synergistic. Taking care of physical health leads to mental health improvements, which leads to improved focus and productivity, and the cycle continues. You get the picture. Get away from your normal environment to brainstorm. Get out of your normal environment that breeds the impulses you're so accustomed to. Bring a pen and a paper to a park bench, be the laptop guy in a Starbucks, go for a walk, and use voice memos to record important ideas. I think that one of the most nefarious consequences of our digital age addictions is that they completely suffocate creative thinking and problem solving. This has been a huge struggle for me over the past 6 or 7 years as a YouTuber, especially once YouTube became a business that supports my family and I. I'm doing all this admin work and the emails pile up and it's like this never-ending pile of shit to do and the normal stresses that come along with running a business. I noticed that the creative side of my brain started to atrophy, and I'm still reconciling this, but I've had to be more intentional with giving myself time outside of my normal environment to try and think outside the box and be creative. Intentional boredom. This one may sound stupid, but hear me out, okay? A lot of people spend almost the entirety of their day letting their thoughts be dictated by external stimuli. You wake up, you grab your phone, you scroll for a bit, checking emails while you eat your eggs, watching YouTube while you take a shit, listening to a podcast on the drive to work, TV after dinner. You get the idea. It's easier than ever to fall into the habit of filling every second of downtime with digital consumption, which stifles the beauty of letting your mind wander and spending time with your thoughts and reflecting. That's when we learn real shit about ourselves, right? When we are forced to spend time with our own internal dialogue. And if you give yourself room to get to know that relentless fuck constantly chirping in your mind, you might just be able to get him under control once in a while and foster some pretty cool ideas. I'm not saying lock yourself in a padded room for 2 hours a day, but maybe sit with your thoughts once in a while during an activity you would normally be consuming some. Here's an example from my life. I hate cardio, so for most of my life, I've tried to distract myself as much as possible while doing it. But recently I've been hopping on my treadmill, phone in the other room, and just staring at a blank screen, watching the timer tick up while I run. Torture. It is absolutely torture. But after a little while, once I let the discomfort and my disdain for what I'm doing marinate, I kind of start to love it. It's the closest I'll ever get to meditating, honestly. Just staring at a blank screen, knees on fire, lungs gasping, and seeing how long I can go just living in that moment of boredom and discomfort. Sounds kind of strange saying it out loud, but I'm almost sure that it's been a net positive on my life. And finally, create a new perspective. Being able to consciously embrace alternative perspectives is truly one of life's greatest superpowers. Did you fail or did you learn something? Are you moping because something is over, or are you grateful because you were able to experience it? In general, all of the most content people I know are masters of crafting a positive outlook even in the most dire situations. This doesn't mean you're annoyingly optimistic or delusional. It just means you're skilled at logically thinking about a situation or a problem in a wise and reasonable way in spite of emotion and acting accordingly. We've all spent time with that person that complains relentlessly and thinks everything sucks. Nobody likes that person. Granted, a lot of the videos I make are criticisms of things or people that I think suck, but usually that's for the sake of comic relief. In actuality, I'm quite optimistic and bullish on the future, because when you put your hands on the helm and start steering the ship, you start realizing there's opportunity on every horizon. Okay, that was a little gay. I apologize, but there it is. Another year gone by, and you sons of bitches are still letting me do this YouTube thing, and I cannot thank you enough. So that's 20 anecdotes or beliefs that have helped me this year. I have no idea how this video is going to be received. Frankly, I don't really care, but I'm glad I made it anyways. Please check out Copilot by clicking my link in the description. Truly wishing you guys nothing but health and happiness heading into the new year. The only thing left to do now is to stand up out of your seat, drop those trousers, get those cheeks clapping, and then violently hip thrust that motherfucking like button. I'll see you in the new year. Peace.